So, it's had hundreds of thousands of pounds spent on its renovation, but now we're hearing a local hospital ward might be closed. Doesn't sound on first listen like it makes a great deal of sense, does it? Let me tell you some more. NHS bosses say we don't need inpatient beds at the Whitworth Hospital, Darley Dale, and they can give a better service to patients in their own homes. But a community group says it's only just paid for new kit at the site. They are, I think it's fair to say, pretty angry. Martin Williams is outside the Whitworth Hospital right now. Martin.
Yes, good morning, Ian. And these proposals that you've been mentioning at Whitworth Hospital are part of a larger shake-up of healthcare in North Derbyshire. It was only announced last month that New Home Hospital at Bakewell and Bolsover Hospital are both earmarked for closure. The plan here at Whitworth is to no longer have inpatient beds, so essentially this will become a day unit. Now, NHS managers argue hospital services can be better provided in patients' own homes. And with an ageing population, expensive, outdated buildings and limited funding, they insist that they will have to make that money go further. Now, it is worth saying that these proposals are still subject to a public consultation before any final decision is actually made. I'm with Pam Wildgoose, who is from the Matlock Hospital's League of Friends, and they've been raising money for this hospital for almost 50 years now. How much do you think you've raised in that time?
£2.5 million.
£2.5 million. This hospital then, both in terms of the amount of financial effort you've put in, but personally, must be very important for both you and the people of Matlock. How important is it?
Extremely important. They are absolutely horrified, angry at the thought that the Oak Ward should lose its beds and that the hospital should lose its status as a hospital for inpatient people. They are the people who've collected the money over those years that we, through the League, have been able to spend on the hospital.
The managers that we've been hearing from are saying the care could be better provided in patients' homes. Now, if they're saying that, surely it's better for the patient, then that's what should be done if that is the case.
There's no doubt about that, but there are so many cases where it isn't suitable to send people home, and they do need, particularly after an acute stay in a hospital, to have a few days of recuperation, rehabilitation elsewhere.
The money is always a problem, no matter where you look, and it is the case with this service as well. If you had to save money in the same way that needs to be saved here, what would you do? Because there's always going to be a problem no matter which way you look at it. You've got to close something, haven't you?
Yes, you have. But in this particular case, the idea is that the beds in this newly refurbished ward, which has been brought up to fantastic standards, must be the most hygienic in the whole of North Derbyshire, and is so used and loved by the public. The idea is those beds shall go to the Chesterfield Royal Hospital. The public here are really, really worried about that, because the standard of care here, the staff are used to dealing with people who, in a friendly atmosphere, it's caring, is efficient, but above all it is this happy atmosphere and their ability to deal with also very lovingly with end-of-life care. Now, the people in Matlock feel that to have that in a rehabilitation ward in the Chesterfield Royal Hospital will not feel like what the CCG want, which is the better care closer to home. They've got to reinvent a ward. We don't know what quality it will be. And you'll still feel, it'll be psychologically wrong, you'll still feel that you're in a district general hospital. You won't feel you have gone to care and the loving care that they get here.
All right, thank you very much. That's Pam Wildgoose from the Matlock Hospital's League of Friends there. And here I am outside Whitworth Hospital, and a little bit later on we will hear from William Jones on The Breakfast Show, who represents Derbyshire Community Health Services Trust.
Absolutely. Martin, thank you very much. Strong feelings there. Martin Williams reporting from Darley-Dale.
And listening to that clip of Pam is William Jones from the Derbyshire Community Health Services Trust. And just explain, before we get into talking about this issue, explain exactly what your relationship is with the services that may well be closing.
Yeah, good morning, Martin. Yes, I represent Derbyshire Community Health Services. We're actually the organisation that run the hospital here at Whitworth and those other hospitals that you mentioned earlier on. The clinical commissioning groups are responsible for buying those services from us.
So how do you feel then about the possibility of losing this inpatient service?
We need to encourage people to make a contribution to this really important consultation. What matters is that we can't any longer continue to provide all of the services in the way that we've been providing them for many, many years now. We do need to make changes if we're to provide sustainable health and social care service going forward for the people of North Derbyshire.
The Friends are saying the loss of that service would be a blow to this community. Is that something you agree with?
Inevitably, local people feel really, really strongly about their community hospitals, and it's inevitable with all the support that local people have put into the hospital via the League of Friends that people will feel upset about it. And I and the organisation, the trust that I represent, we're extremely grateful for all of the support that the League of Friends have put into this hospital, which is now close to 49 years of support that they've provided. What we need to do is to encourage local people to contribute to the consultation, and I would encourage people over the next few months, right up to the 5th of October, to make their feelings known to North Derbyshire and Hardwick clinical commissioning groups about how they feel about the proposals.
Do you think the CCG has got it wrong in this case?
No, it's not a question of getting it wrong at all. What the CCGs are doing is encouraging people to make their views known. They have to start with proposals. We then need to encourage local people to contribute to those ideas and for the CCGs to get to the right solution by the end of the consultation.
The money that the Friends were talking about, some £2.5 million over several years, a lot of that has been spent recently on some beds, £10,000 each for these beds. What would happen to those should the inpatient service in those wards go from this hospital?
Well, we've got a long way to go, Martin. The consultation doesn't even end until the 5th of October. It will then take months for the CCGs to decide exactly what the final proposals are. And what the clinical commissioning groups are actually saying is that nothing will be taken away until the alternative services have been put in place. So my view is that we will always ensure that those sorts of specialist equipment that the League have purchased will be properly used going forward.
How do you think then this hospital ward will be different? How will it change if those proposals are put through?
The proposals that the CCG are consulting on now is about less care in traditional hospital beds and increasing the amount of care that's provided for people in their own homes. So what we have got here now at Whitworth Hospital is the base for a multidisciplinary, multi-agency team. So we have physios, OTs, nurses, social care staff, all of whom are working together to wrap care around people in their own homes. And that's the objective that the CCG are working towards.